Okay, well, we are now officially live. Everybody, it's Shane and Missy again this week, Saturday, for the Reese Gorman channel. We do have a name, which we'll be talking about in a minute. And today we have a special guest. It's Dr. Chris Koster. He's a pediatrician in Kansas. He's also a big supporter of LOPA and also one of the big fans of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Last week we had left off with talking about some of the myths for LOPA and some more of the story, Missy, of what you were talking about and about your son Reese. And what I'd like to do today is we're going to go back into LOPA. Doc knows who LOPA is. Doc's going to say from his perspective as a doctor that he can tell us from his perspective about organs and the kids and how much this does save lives. And of course, Missy, you're going to continue on with your story about a young man who lost his life at such a young age. And again, we're not going to get too deep in this. I'm not crying again today. I promised myself I wouldn't cry today.
Okay.
But I know it's Koster. Oh, Koster. Sorry. Ooh, take two. Anyways, so today's question is, what does LOPA mean to you? Okay. So we're going to break that down a little bit. Missy, why don't you go ahead and start off by telling us what the name of the channel is going to be and how you came up with the name of the channel, and then we'll bring Doc in and go from there. Go ahead.
Sure. It's going to be Reese Gorman, a life, a legacy, a hero through organ donation. So we'll be talking about his life, his legacy, his heroism, and all aspects of organ donation, and even further, information about LOPA, organ procurement agencies, myths, bringing people together, writing letters, whatever we can do to help others learn more about LOPA and its, the importance of organ donation and all of the other things that LOPA does.
Absolutely. And Doc, so you've been a pediatrician for how long?
I have been a pediatrician for 15 years, basically. If you count residency, it's a little bit longer than that.
Okay, so you see a lot of young people. What's the age group of the kids that you see?
Birth to early 20s.
Okay, so when you think about organ donation and you think as a doctor, and I know you see a lot of different patients with a lot of different issues, from I'm sure heart problems to the liver to probably multiple of different things. Missy and I are trying to get out there that people need to understand that the myth of organ donation is, you as a doctor, if somebody comes in and they're an organ donor and they're having a heart issue, you're not going to just let them go to the wayside. You're going to do everything in your power to save them, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, so what's the advantage of organ donation for you as a doctor?
So the advantage really is that there are, I don't know exact statistics, but there are, I would imagine, tens of thousands of children who are on organ waiting lists. There are a number of congenital diseases that will dictate that a child will have some kind of organ failure, or who are already in organ failure. And all of those children need donors to save their lives. It's obviously a difficult thing to think about, especially in children, because we don't expect children to die, right? I mean, nobody expects that. And fortunately, fewer children die than elderly people. But obviously there are many children who are, for a variety of reasons, in need of organs, and they all rely on people to donate them.
Missy, why don't you carry up to a follow-up to this, because you and I talked about this last week a little bit. And with you and Doc here, now that you're a nurse and he's a doctor, the two of you have a lot of insight that most people don't have. And I think you two should have like a conversation about what you guys see in the hospitals together and how it correlates to what we're talking about now. You know, Lopa is doing such an amazing thing for people. I mean, what they did for you, Missy, is just I can't even. To be honest with you, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
So you know, you two are the professionals in the industry. I'm not. I'm just a hunter.
Well,
Okay?
I can definitely say for a fact that even though I'm a registered nurse, have been for almost 25 years now, when you lose your son or you're about to lose your son, all of your wits leave you. You know, every single thought that you have is not anywhere around your profession at all. You might understand terminology and things of that nature, but your reasoning skills and all that are kind of out the window. And, you know, like I said, the knowing Reese's wishes helped me make the decision. And I cannot stress that enough. And then, you know, being a nurse, I know, I mean, I knew that they did what they could to make sure that my son could make it. And, you know, when he actually became brain dead, it happened.
Okay. Well, you know, there's
I'm
the point where Jack comes in. We had a little malfunction, probably with signal, which is normal,
sorry.
but we're good. So Doc was saying that, you know, go ahead, Doc. Go ahead and repeat what you said, and then we can do it back through. Boom, Jack. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All of the medical training and experience and all of that goes out the window when it's your own children. It just does. And it doesn't matter if it's I slammed my daughter's door in the or excuse me, finger in the car door on accident, or they've been in a horrific accident. We have training and experience, and yes, we'll understand terminology and have maybe a better understanding of a lay person, if you will, you know, of what's going on. But we are parents first and foremost, and all of that stuff, it just goes out the window.
Very true.
So Missy, do you think that in all the stuff that you've been through the last 4 years, do you think that going back in time, do you have any regrets? Do you have any pain, emotion about the decisions that were made back then? Do you feel like everything that you did was a confident thing as a mother, right?
Yes, I do. I feel like no regrets.
So you're talking about a nurse and a doctor who have been through so much seeing stuff in the hospitals between kids, and I'm sure you've been all over the nursing realm with different stuff. And you know, I was in the army in Iraq, and the stuff I've seen, you know, as a volunteer firefighter, and you know, the stuff that people talk about when you see it in live person, and the things that people can get saved from just by one person, right?
Yeah,
It all goes out the door when it's your children, but it doesn't, right, Missy?
right.
It doesn't go out the door with your children.
No.
The rule of thumb in life is that your children go after the parents, but sometimes that just isn't the case, and people don't want to hear that, but that's just the way it is sometimes in life. And Missy is one of my dearest friends now, and just like you, Doc, you too. I love you both dearly, and having you guys to experience this. Lopa for you two means what? What does Lopa mean to you two? Missy, let's start off with you, and then you can pass it on to Doc.
So LOPA to me is continuation of life through organ donation, as well as grief, um, as well as survivor's guilt. They are there for the families from the moment that you choose organ donation for your loved one, all the way through the harvesting of the organs, and then beyond. And however they can be, they do things to honor your loved one. Tree of Life, Path of Remembrance walk, National Donors Day, and that's just to name a few. And the opportunities that they give people like myself, as well as recipients, the time and the resources to go and share their stories about their loved ones, because they were the true heroes in choosing to be an organ donor. And there's so many heroes out there. I think that organ donors should be high up on the list of heroes myself.
Absolutely. Doc, what about you? What do you, as a doctor, how do you see LOPA? And you've been to the events of Real Life Real Crime with Woody. You've seen what they've done. You've put in stuff for LOPA, right? I mean, for the raffle and all that stuff. And you've done so much for Real Life Real Crime and Bloody Angola and the Daily. You as a true crime fan have seen a lot of this with LOPA, and you got to see Missy at this last one. What does it mean to you when we ask you, well, what does LOPA mean? How do they affect you?
Yeah, quite simply, I would just say life, because it takes a special group of people to be able to take a grieving family through the process of, trying to. Sorry about this, guys.
You're good. This is unscripted. We're just here to have a conversation.
That's right.
That's why people are going to love us.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that. It takes a special group of people to take a grieving family through the process of helping them decide to donate a child's organs and then take them through the whole process that happens thereafter. And, obviously none of us can fully know that experience who haven't been through it ourselves. I certainly have seen it from the perspective of a physician, and not LOPA specifically, but other organ donation agencies. And I have seen, the process through to the point that I understand how important those people are to a grieving family. The reason I say simply life is that what bigger gift can you give another human being than a life-saving organ?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, we give, sure, I've given to LOPA and I've done all these things, but that's a special kind of sacrifice. And I am an organ donor. It's one of those things that you hope you never, like, it's kind of a weird way to feel about it, right? Like,
Yes.
If I find myself in the position of, I'm not going to make it, of course I want someone else to make it, but it's really hard to put your mind in that space,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I think that where LOPA comes in and is a big part of what they do is helping all of us understand that better and be able to put our minds in that space.
Yes. I agree.
So that's why we have this channel, is because we want people to understand that there's actually avenues, like to get a hold of Missy, that she can help you do the letters. She's been through it. She's been down the walk of the hero. She's been through all the stuff that goes through it. Our job here with this channel is to educate, right? We're going to educate people and help them understand that there's help for them, but there's also people out there that have gone through it. So last week we were starting down the path of myths. Oh, Missy and I were really, I think both of us have a problem with myths, right? It's no different than seeing Bigfoot, right? It's considered a myth, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to joke a little bit, but the myths of organ donation, we talked about last week, about if you go in the emergency room, and Missy was explaining that if you go in the emergency room and you come in a bad car accident, that the hospitals wouldn't help you because you're an organ donor. Okay, well, that's a myth. Okay, that's just one.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have Missy now go over a second, or Doc, one of you come up with a second myth, because I know a second, but I want to hear it from your guys' perspective, because I know it makes Missy and I really upset, because I'm so tired of people talking about organ donation. And when you go out there and read it, it's kind of funny if you look at what people say about the myth of organ donation, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I'll even make it easier for you. People say, and we started to talk about this, people say if you're over the age of 50 that you shouldn't donate organs because it doesn't help anybody, right? So I'm going to be 50 this year. Missy's going to be 25. So Doc's 102, but we're going to talk about that for a minute, right? We're going to go over this. So people say at the age of 50 and above, you shouldn't be a donor because that, your organs are getting older or whatsoever. I think that's kind of a cliche or a myth. And I want you guys to explain why it's a myth. I want both of you from your own perspectives to really put out, be blunt, point blank. This is not a happy time for people to do this, right?
No.
And I think it's kind of bullshit, just to put it out there blankly, right? I'm not going to get into too much stuff like that, but again, I think it's BS. So, Doc, let's start with you first, and Missy, I want you to follow, because I know, Missy, I know you're just stewing right now, and that's what I can see it on your face, sis. But let's let Doc go, and then I'm gonna let you blast them. I'm gonna let you go get them. So go ahead, Doc. Talk about that myth.
Oh yeah, absolutely a myth, and the reason being, there are, there are a whole host of things that you donate as organs, right? One being quite simply your corneas. You could donate corneas forever. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are. Obviously, our cells age as we get older, and that's true. However, we are uniquely designed for many of our organs, to heal very well.
Yes.
From a whole host of damage that we do to them, either self-inflicted or not. And so we only, like, for instance, I'll just use the liver as an example.
Yep.
Okay, the liver is a very unique organ in that it has just an extreme ability to heal. And you don't even need a full liver to put into another human being. You only need a part of it to put in, and then it will actually regenerate an entire liver.
I did not know that.
That's the degree to which the liver can heal itself. I mean, that's very extreme, right? So if you're 50, 55, 60, and you've had a reasonably healthy life, and I mean reasonably, not elite athlete type, health.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I worked on this for a long time.
There are many organs that will last for a long time.
Yes.
Now, here's the other side of that. There are people out there waiting on lists who need organs, who need them for 10 years. They're not looking for 50 years of longevity necessarily. So really, we need organs from every age group possible, because they're all life sustaining
And viable, yes.
and viable. So, that 100% a myth. I will be an organ donor until the day I die, and I don't care how old I am. So,
all right, Missy, it's your time to shine, because I already know what's coming. Everybody, back class area, all clear? Let them have it, sis. Let them have it, because I don't like myths. I hate myths.
Yeah.
And go ahead from your perspective now.
Yeah, so, not only, the liver, the corneas who help, provide sight, but even tissue, muscle, skin. You think about people who are severely burned, over, 60, 75% of their body. They can't go taking skin from the other 25%. Number one, it's going to increase their infection rate. And number two, they need their skin. So even, skin from a donor can help, you know, um, with grafts on someone who's been burned severely. Um, tissues and ligaments as well. They help with, ACL injuries, things of that nature. So it's not just the major organs that help save lives or improve people's lives. I just want everyone to know that if you're going to be a donor, think about all of it, all of the things that you can say that your wishes are, because it's not just your organs, it's your tissue. There's a whole lot more host of things that you can donate.
Yeah, and I think that's what people fail to understand is, I mean, again, I didn't know about the graft for burn victims. See, I'm learning as I go through this as well. I think that having the two of you here to explain more gives us more insight, correct? The concept of me dying, giving up a kidney to take care of let's say it's 70-year-old man, right? And he lives till he's 90. Okay. He gets more time with his grandchildren,
Exactly.
his great grandchildren,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. How do you put a price on life? I mean,
But people see one of the biggest complaints, and I've been doing a lot of talking to people lately. I got to tell you this: I've been going out and socializing with people about organ donation, and I've heard a lot of different analogies. I've heard a lot of different things that kind of bug me. One of them is that I came to this world with these organs. I'm gonna go out with them, right? That's a big analogy. That if you think about it, it's and to me that seems, I understand it. Okay, I do. But to me, it seems selfish. If, in my personal view, I'm not saying they are selfish. I'm saying, in my opinion, I feel they're selfish, right? I think that people need to understand that the world, if everybody had that attitude, the world is going to continue to go backwards.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If the attitude was, if me as a soldier went to war and said, you know what? I don't care. I came in this world with all my limbs. I'm not going to go to combat. Forget everybody else. Right? If every soldier said that, where would we be now as a country?
Yeah, very true.
Backwards. So I feel like people they don't want to come out of their comfort zone in ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Because if you think about it too hard, you're thinking about your own well-being, and it's life is a struggle, and you fight to survive, and you fight to live, and you fight to keep going, and sometimes it's just hard to wrap your head around the fact that, oh, when I die they're going to start taking my organs. But you also have to look at it from a different angle, that I'm not here anymore, clinically brain dead. I have no use for my organs anymore, and I can actually potentially save so many people's lives or make their lives better. But it's a choice. It's a choice. But I just would like for people to just maybe, take it away from yourself and look at it from a different perspective,
Absolutely. But I hear that all the time.
Just so many people are waiting on life-saving donations, and so many people die every day because they have to have a perfect match, and that could take a while.
It could take years, right, Doc?
Yeah.
There are unfortunately many people who will die waiting for perfect organs.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know, I mean, that's just reality. Um, and you know, I think that if we can convince um, more people to do such a selfless act, give up organs that we don't need anymore,
Yes.
uh,
And
we will
discuss it
save
with your
many of
family. Yeah,
yeah.
it's imperative.
My
Your
dog's
camera's
talking.
following you.
You can tell this is live because the dog is over here talking because yeah, Jason took the other dog out. But that's fine. So now we got a dog telling his story about organ
That's all
donation.
right. I'm waiting on mine to start barking too.
So I mean, there's so much to talk about with organ donation. It's not cut and dry, as you both know, that okay, I'm going to be an organ donor, not going to be an organ donor, right? It's not really that cut and dry.
No, no.
There's so much to it. It's what can I use the analogy for? It's like religion. Okay, there's so many different ones, right? It's not just a cut and dry. I'm going to be this or that. Okay, and I don't want to get into all that. I'm not
Right.
saying that for people to get in the middle of what we're doing. I'm saying that is that there's so many in organ donation. There's so much to it, right? The research, the science, the exact match, the chances of you being a match to somebody else. You know, if it was your child, would you still say the same thing? I came into this world with it. I'm going out with it. Would you say that same thing? Can you say that same thing? So if you're willing to give it to your child and you're already gone, I kind of think, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, if the three of us, right, and we're gonna have a lot of people on here, and if the three of us were organ donors or not, if not organ donors, and Doc said, hey, you know, and I'm gonna be brain dead because something happens or I'm getting old or whatever, and Doc is a perfect match. Of course, I want you, Missy, or you or Doc to have my organs to survive longer because we're a family.
Yes.
We care about each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never know if one of your loved ones is, going to need an organ, to survive in the future as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, but it seems to me that it's more of one of those things is they're not looking at what's in front of them. They're looking at what's their own self, right? My own personal self is I think that everybody should care for everybody. That's what it used to be like growing up as a child. I mean, again, I'm old and you can't say anything, Missy, because I am older than you. So but I just feel like you two are given a story. Doc, you're given a background with your degree. Missy's given her story not only as going through the organ donation with her son, but she's also going through it as a mom, as a nurse, as somebody who's, LOPA. So you got two people here that eventually, once this hits YouTube, there's going to be a lot of people writing underneath asking questions that
Yeah.
we'll have to have you come back on, Doc, and talk about stuff, right?
Yes.
And I feel like this is just the beginning of, I talked to Woody about this and we had a great conversation. We just did an interview. Excuse me, we're talking. Don't be rude. Dogs. You want to be an organ donor? Okay. So she's giving me the look. So I think, I talked to Woody about this and Woody agrees there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more, and he says he loves us all. He's a big proponent of this. This is his jam, right? Woody and Cindy, this is their jam. And I agree with both of you. I think with final, let's bring up to the final of this because we got about 15 minutes and I want to get into a few stories about Reese. Doc, do you have anybody in your family that's ever received an organ by chance?
I do not.
Okay.
I
do you know
have,
somebody?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have a couple of friends who have received organs over the years. A wonderful gentleman who was very involved in Boy Scouts, actually, who helped. It takes a village, right, to raise children. So he was part of that village for many, many people, and he received a liver and is still living. I received that liver probably about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And without it, he wouldn't be here. And so countless numbers of lives that wouldn't have benefited from his experience and wisdom, uh, in a lot of different things. So I absolutely can understand and appreciate it from that perspective. I have patients who, not many, thankfully, but a couple who currently need organs. So um, I understand it from that perspective as well.
Yeah.
So this is just so important. Um, in my case with my patients, we're talking about children who really won't have a chance at life if not for organ donation.
Yes.
Right.
And then the time it takes to, find that perfect match, all of the testing and all of that they have to go through, it's not just, I need an organ, here's an organ. There's a lot of testing that has to go on both parties.
It's it's akin to the miracle of birth in the first place. It is complicated to that degree. Like, people don't realize how complicated it is to get pregnant, carry a pregnancy, and have a baby. It's actually, if you saw the statistics on, miscarriage versus term pregnancy and all that, it's a miracle that any of us are here. um,
Wow.
and we're talking science that is that complicated that goes into organ donation.
Yes.
All right,
And then
this is
even
about you.
and even the medications that they have to take afterwards, for the rest of their life, staying with the doctors. But, I've found with Reese's recipients, I know we were talking about age, but Mark, Reese's heart recipient, he was approximately 60 when he received Reese's heart, and he's now, I believe he's either 64 or 65. And his wife, Kathy, she was kind of scared to ask me this question. But I said, look, anything goes. Nothing that you say is going to upset me. I'm an open book. And she said, I just want to know what your feelings are on the fact that your son's heart, very young heart, went to a 60-year-old man. And my answer to her was, age is not a factor. It's the fact that someone was able to continue on their life, not struggling to breathe, you know, nearly at the end of their life. And my son was able to give him more years of life. He was able to see his grandson do some wonderful things, you know, and here he is almost 4 years later, and he's doing great. So and then Jacob, Reese's kidney recipient, he was, tied to a dialysis machine every single night of his life, having to go through peritoneal dialysis. And he just, couldn't be a kid, and live like a normal teenager. And, it was just a matter of time. So, it's amazing how different things can change the way people live and continue to live through organ donation.
So
None of us have any idea what these people will do, right? I mean, what if somebody gets a heart who is 60? Big deal. What if that person ends up, finding the cure for cancer?
Right.
We don't know.
you can't predict the future, and you can't change the past, right? I mean, that's one thing in life that, we're gonna born, we're gonna live, and we're gonna die. It's already predetermined, that's gonna happen. We can't change that. They're trying to, but it's not going to be changed. Captain Duvall, we're going to have him on soon, and he's got a great story to tell as well. And he's the one that brought Lopa to Woody, and how this all started. And I mean, if you think about it, the three of us are sitting here right now because of a podcast.
Yes, very true.
That's 100%
I mean,
true.
think about it for a
And a
minute.
love for Lopa, a podcast and a love for Lopa.
So, but a podcast started this.
Yes.
Lopa was an added bonus to it, right?
Yeah.
And now look what we're doing. We're trying to educate.
Yes. And bring families
That right there. If you look at the odds, if you look at the big picture on all of this, wow.
It's pretty amazing.
If we change one person's life, just one,
well worth
if we
it.
change that life, we've done more than we can possibly even imagine what we've done, right? As just normal everyday people.
Absolutely.
You guys are heroes, both of you. A doctor, a nurse, a mom, a dad. You know what I mean? You're heroes. A hero is somebody who's willing to sacrifice, right? The sacrifice of a parent to raise their children is their heroes. Teachers, doctors, nurses, firefighters, police, right? They're heroes. They sacrifice. They're heroes. Veterans, yes, absolutely. And I am a vet. But, you know, every show, I ask my sister to tell me a story about Reese so I get to hear something about this young man. So it's a tradition. And for the third episode, I am asking her again, and it doesn't have to be about Lopa. It could be about a story that he got in trouble for stealing bubblegum out of mommy's purse.
No, actually, I have a really good one for y'all today. So
okay, so I'm going to let you take the floor. Tell us a story about Reese Gorman.
So Reese loved animals. And so when I was able to purchase this home for my boys, about 6 years ago, he decided that he wanted to raise rabbits. So I had 3 rabbit cages in my backyard, and believe me, my backyard's not very big. But, you know, each one had a nesting box, and he thoroughly enjoyed whenever the rabbits would get together and then have the babies, and he would, you know, just love on and have the babies and, you know, play with them. A few of them became very near and dear to our hearts, but he sold them around Easter time, and he sold them as pets. Well, believe it or not, there's a couple down the road from us, and they got 2 of Reese's rabbits, and they trained it. They litter trained it. And now it's like, you know, a dog, but it's actually their rabbits that are running around. And you know, that was one of Reese's passions, was raising his rabbits. So.
Oh my goodness. Every week, you can't help it. Missy, you and I are going to have a long conversation about this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Doc. I can't thank you enough, Doc, for coming on here and telling us your side. And we will definitely have you come back again.
Yeah.
Wow. Stop it, Missy.
I didn't do it.
Missy and I really appreciate you coming on and answering from your side as a pediatrician. And again, we would love to have you come back and give more aspect as we get farther into this. And you're an amazing man, and you're like a brother to me, and we've done a lot together, and I appreciate you. I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you.
Well,
so much.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on, and this has been great. I would love to come back. I feel very passionate about this, like you both, and it's just wonderful to get the opportunity to talk to you guys about it, and hopefully educate some people.
Yes.
And,
yes. Once we get this up on YouTube, I'll be asking, you know, people to send us questions or requests or, you know, anything like that, so that we can help.
And Doc, there may be people asking you questions about different medical stuff. And again, don't, you know, we're going to take it step by step, and we don't know what's going to happen. I know that we are going to continue to talk about Woody Overton and Cindy Overton and Lopa. They're a big proponent. Lopa is an amazing group. I want to thank Missy again for the bottom of my heart for telling her story. I mean, she's killing me. I don't know, sis. But you both are absolutely two amazing people, and you're heroes in my book.
Thank you.
And
You're pretty amazing.
I can't wait to get your autographs, selfies, and autographs.
All right.
So I want to thank everybody for listening to us. Again, we aren't scripted. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of freezes, non-freezes. We will do some cutting in and out, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. I want to thank Doc again for coming out, and I want to thank Woody Overton, Cindy Overton from Real Life Real Crime. I want to thank Lori Steele, Lopa. Thank you for everything you do. Doc, pick somewhere. Pick anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Let's go with Myanmar.
Okay, that's you, Missy. Tell them what bless you. Anyways, go ahead.
So if you are from there, you can go to www.lopa.org and you can become an organ donor through their website in your area. So you don't have to do it specifically in your area. You can go to lopa.org and become an organ donor.
Man, Doc, thanks again. Have a great time at the game today. I expect photos.
I'll send them. I'll send them.
Go KU, or should I say go who's playing KU? All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching us. God bless y'all. We appreciate you. We'll be back again next week for another episode.
I'll see you later, alligator.
After a while.
Crocodile.
There we go. We are out.
God bless.